Final game of the RoughRiders series against the Missions, and we're joined as we are every Sunday by the manager of the RoughRiders, Steve Buechele. Steve, this has been a tough week for the group, especially offensively. What sense can you make of the struggles that the team has had at the plate?
You know, it's baseball. I mean, you hate seeing it, and you hate these guys, hate seeing them go through it, but it's part of the game, and I guess it's probably something that a lot of these guys have never been through or have been. I don't know to what extent, but you know, when you go through a stretch like this, I mean, you're tested, the character's tested, your mentality, your mental strength, everything is being tested, and it's part of the game that inevitably is going to happen, and you just have to fight and keep working and get through it.
There's only so much you can do as a manager and Jason can do as a hitting coach. How do you try and alter or change maybe the delivery of the message to try and get through to these guys? Ultimately, it's their responsibility, but what do you do or Jason do to try and help spur on a little bit more offensive growth?
You know, I think stay positive. You know, these guys can get tired of hearing me for sure. You know, when we meet every day and they're with Jason every day, and I'm sure it gets old to hear us. And I think at this point, comes down to they got to listen to themselves and understand that it's not the end of the world. You know, the hard work is the only thing I know that gets teams out of things like this. You go through an individual slump or a team slump, there is no formula or there's nothing that anybody can tell you that can get you out of it. If there was, that person would become an instant celebrity and millionaire. But the only thing I know is hard work and stay positive, and sooner or later it'll turn around.
You know, from a fan perspective, you might think, oh well, the coaches must be all fire and brimstone here to get these guys to perform. But a little bit of a softer glove treatment is maybe the better way to go about it.
You know, you go about it both ways. I think you bring the fire and brimstone, and it's not something that you can bring back right away, in my opinion. I think, like I said, they get tired of hearing me. Sooner or later, they're going to have to start listening to themselves, and they'll be the ones that get out of it. We're not going to be the ones that get them out of the little funk that they're in. Ultimately, they'll be the ones that figure it out.
When you were a player, what sorts of things did you do to try and get yourself out of a slump? Because every player goes through it. You
know, you could ask every player that, and you're probably going to get a bunch of different answers. I don't even know what I did. I think you almost get to the point where you say, okay, screw it. That I'm as low as I can go. I just got to go out and play. You take extra hitting. Sometimes that doesn't work. You stop hitting. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes they both work. There's no simple formula other than sticking to it and understanding that you got to go out and play a game and do the best you can.
This team has been very aggressive all year at the plate, and the byproduct of that is the team has not walked very much this season. Do you maybe change up a little bit of the approach, maybe try and be a little bit more patient just for the sake of getting base runners?
Yeah, getting base runners and not getting hits doesn't do you any good either. I think, along those lines, I think making easy outs on a first pitch or early in the count, can certainly be addressed. I mean, you have to understand we have a lot of young hitters in this lineup that have been aggressive their whole career, and now they're facing Double-A pitching. And we play these teams 32 times, San Antonio and Corpus and Midland, and they get to know the tendencies, and the pitchers adjust, and it's up to our hitters to make adjustments back. Could we walk more? Sure we could. And it would probably benefit us a great deal, but we also had success in the first half with the same approach. The only difference was we were making good contact and getting away with it.
Here with Riders manager Steve Buechele, the pitching has been somewhat of a bright spot during this dry spell, especially Arlet Mavare. He's been a real surprise, especially after he had the high ERA coming out of the bullpen, but he's been very good in this extended inning role, and last night's 7 innings must have been way beyond what you and Jeff Andrews had in terms of expectations for him.
Well, shoot, I mean, we were hoping to get innings out of him, but to get 7 innings and him only surrendering a solo homer, and I know that one pitch he made, he'd love to have it back, but if you told us ahead of time he was going 7 and giving up 1 run, we would have said absolutely would take it. He did a great job last night.
And it goes along the same lines as Tyler Tufts as well. Those two have just been inning saviors more than anything without really blowing away guys.
Yeah, I don't think you can really point fingers at our pitching staff. I think they've done what we've expected them to do. Offensively, we haven't given them support. And you hope that the pitching staff doesn't go to the mound with the expectations like, boy, if I don't throw a shutout tonight, we're going to lose this game. I think a lot of times pitchers can put that extra burden on themselves, and I think they've done a good job of just going out and taking care of their situation.
A little bit less than a week ago, the Rangers made a big deal involving a couple of former players for the RoughRiders last year, bringing Matt Garza into the organization, giving up Mike Olt, Justin Grimm, and Hickory's C.J. Edwards. What was your reaction to that deal? And I'm sure there was a little bit of bittersweet feeling seeing a couple of guys that you enjoyed leaving the organization while the Rangers get a piece to help them contend for the playoffs.
Anytime a trade's made like that, and your players or players that you've had are involved, I think what first thing that comes to my mind is I hope the trade works out for both teams. I hope Matt Garza comes in and does what they expect him to do, and I hope maybe a change of scenery for Mike and Justin. And CJ I didn't get to know very well or had limited contact with him in spring training, but for Mike and Grimmer, you hope that a new chance and the new uniform kind of, spurs them along and they go about doing good things to help their big league club.
I would ask you if this is a stressful week for you going up into the trade deadline, but I would imagine also, seeing that you've been through this a number of times, that you're used to it, and whatever happens, whether you guys get players or players leave this team, go out of the organization on a trade, it's just something you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's more stressful on the players that they're they're more involved in the media and they read and see their names in there, and I think it becomes stressful for them. For us, there's nothing really we can do about it. We've been through it. You go about your business, and it's certainly something that we can't do anything about. It's out of our hands, so we just go about and try to do our job.
Neil has been mentioned as a guy that could eventually be included in that Garza deal. Has there been any talk to him that, hey, don't even think about that sort of thing?
The only thing I relayed to him was go about your business. There's nothing you can do about it. It's out of your hands. It's out of your control. So just right now, Neil's kind of nursing a tired arm, and we can get him back here pretty soon. And Neil's job is to pitch for us here, and that's I think how he'll approach it.
Colby Lewis goes for you guys tonight. He's making another rehab start. I thought he took a minor step forward in his last outing. Did you see similar type of improvement, and do you expect him to keep progressing here tonight?
I expect him to keep progressing. I think he's had a little more rest between that start and this one today. Hopefully the arm, recovers, and I know Colby's hip has been bugging him a little bit too. To pitch with pain, Colby's a pro. I mean, he's, I think he'll go down as the greatest in Ranger history in postseason pitching, and he wants to be out there. He's a competitor, a battler, so I expect good things out of him, and I think hopefully after today we'll see more progression.
And hopefully he can be a spur for the team here to end the losing streak and pick up a win here in the series finale. Thanks a lot for the time, Boo.
All right, Alex.
That's Steve Buechele, RoughRiders manager. We're back after this here on the Frisco RoughRiders Baseball Network.